Bal Thackeray being defined with many adjectives this evening. Marathi Manus, regionalist, warrior, uncompromisingly principled leader, an iconoclastic caricaturist. Several iconic snapshots of his life come to mind almost immediately. Here are 10 iconic snapshots which define his life and times. That photo on your screens, Thackeray addressing a mega rally in Mumbai, this was 4 decades earlier in time, was coinciding with his rise as a politician that put the Marathi identity, or at least brought it into the political scape. Meeting with Karunanidhi after the first campaign against South Indian migrants in Mumbai, that really became the fulcrum of his politics at that time in the 70s. Meeting with Indira Gandhi during the emergency period, Thackeray had supported Indira Gandhi's move, saying that he also admired the fact that she was a benevolent dictator because that's what the country needed. This photograph, particularly important, Thackeray, Sharad Pawar, George Fernandez as allies in 1982 against the Mill Workers Union. This is when the monopoly of the communists over the mills was being broken or chipped away at by Mr. Thackeray. With Amitabh Bachchan in the aftermath of the Bofors scandal, stood by Amitabh Bachchan, said that he should look upon himself as an actor first and get on with the job of acting rather than be bogged down by this scandal. Several people came in contact with Bala Saheb Thackeray through his life. Thackeray squats and closes his ears to fireworks at Girgaon Chapati as ally Advani smiles. Advani, of course, was one of the architects of one of the longest standing alliances that the Bharatiya Janata Party has had with any political party, that was stitched up also with the intervention of the late Pramod Mahajan in 1989. Smriti Irani of the Bharatiya Janata Party paying tribute to Bala Saheb Thackeray. Let's listen in. Not many words, but obviously overcome by grief. Let me go across to Gaurav Sawant, who joins us from Mumbai. Gaurav, what's really happening at Matoshri as of now? Who is there besides Bala Saheb Thackeray at this moment? Also, if you could give us a sense of what is likely to happen over the next 24 hours. Is his body going to be kept in state for various supporters, Shiv Senics, etc. to come there and pay tribute?
Well, outside Matoshri as of now, Shiv Senics are repeatedly being asked to remain calm. There are loudspeakers which are being used to tell Shiv Senics, who are now pouring into this area in Bandra East, where they are being told, please remain calm, please do not disrupt life in Mumbai, please do not insult or tarnish the name and the legacy of Matoshri, of Bala Saheb Thackeray. Just now, inside this place at Matoshri, Raj Thackeray is here, Uddhav Thackeray is here, Gopinath Munde has come in, several other senior Shiv Sena leaders have come in, Smita Thackeray has just come in, we are told. There is another gate which has been, kept aside for all the VVIPs to come in. Bala Saheb Thackerays body would be taken from here to Shivaji Park. Now, if you recall, it was in Shivaji Park in 1966 where Shiv Sena was founded. Now, that's the place where his body would be kept from 7 a.m. tomorrow for the Antim Darshan. There are elaborate plans that are being drawn out. And Headlines Today's Kamlesh Sutar now joins me. Kamlesh Sutar has been in touch with BMC officials, with Shiv Sena members. What all is planned for Shivaji Park tomorrow 7 onwards?
Bala Sahib's mortal remains will be kept at Shivaji Park, which has a great significance in the Shiv Sena's formation, and it would be his Shiv Sena says that would be appropriate place where Shiv Senics could take the last darshan of Bala Sahib. There will be barricades that would be put in place so that every Shiv Senic who will come not only from Mumbai, Thane and adjoining areas, but from the entire state, Maharashtra, all Shiv Senics will be coming in tomorrow for Bala Sahib to catch the last glimpse of their favorite leader. BMC would be keeping appropriate arrangements there, apart from Police personnel will be placed in large number. The RAF has already reached Shivaji Park, and from Shivaji Park, where his body would be taken for the final cremations. Shiv Sena leader Sanjay Raut in a while would be addressing the press about the arrangements of what kind of arrangement that would be made, which gates would be open for the Shiv Sena and common public, because a lot of VVIPs are also expected to reach there tomorrow.
Indeed. Now, for the Shiv Sena, Shivaji Park has a special significance, not only because that is where it was founded, that is where they have their annual Dashera rally, but that's the place where, when they expected perhaps a few thousand people to come, and when Shiv Sena was formed in 1966, 20,000 people came and became original members of the Shiv Sena. But each year, it's practically a massive show of strength.
Certainly Shivaji Park has a great significance in Shiv Sena's entire life. For 40 long years, this is recorded in the Guinness Book of Records. One leader, one ground, and one leader addressing people for 40 years. This has been recorded for 4 decades in the Guinness Book of World Record. It was not only where the Shiv Sena was born, but on the other side of the story, Shiv Sena's offshoot, the MNS, was also born at the Shivaji Park itself. So it's an apt place for the Shiv Sena. The Shiv Sena, no, they have called it Shiva Tirth. Bala Sahib has named it as Shiva Tirth. It was when the Shiv Sena came to power for the first time in 1995. It was here that the swearing-in ceremony took place. Generally, it takes place at the Raj Bhavan, but Bala Sahib, who was fond of that ground, decided to hold the swearing-in ceremony of the first non-Congress Chief Minister of Maharashtra at the Shivaji Park, what they called Shiv Tirth. So tomorrow, Bala Sahib would be addressing, would be seen at the last time to his followers at the Shivaji Park, when his body would be kept there for the last to catch the last glimpse of his followers.
Indeed, and Manohar Joshi, the first non-Congress Chief Minister of Maharashtra, 1995 to 1999, he's also come in here, Rahul, and you know, when we tried to speak to him,
yes,
he just couldn't speak. Some of his supporters were virtually taking him, coaxing him to go towards Matoshri, and that is what we're getting to you from here. But once again, Shiv Sena leaders asking their cadres to remain calm. Mumbai is on tenterhooks.
Yes, of course, Gaurav. Of course, that point will have to be emphasized, because that's really the wish of the family. Keep the peace, because Mr. Bal Thackeray would have wanted that. That, of course, is a sentiment that needs to go out. But just a quick recap. I'm going to come back to you, Gaurav. I'm just recapping what Dr. Jalil Parkar said today at around 5 o'clock this evening. He came out and he said about Bala Sahib Thackeray, that Bala Sahib Thackeray has suffered a cardiac arrest. We could not revive him despite our best efforts. He breathed his last at around 3:30 p.m. This is what Dr. Jalil Parkar said. Now, all of this, of course, went slightly against the grain, Gaurav, because over the last 24 hours, it had seemed, and at least that is what the family seemed to have suggested, that Dr. Bala Sahib Thackeray had begun to make a recovery, that he was perhaps fighting the odds and he was turning a corner. By when really did things start deteriorating?
Around 2:30 this afternoon, you know, the situation completely changed. We've been here for the past 3-4 days, and after that, you know, after that violence where journalists were attacked, OB vans were broken, and you know, Shiv Senics were very angry. From the next day, you know, senior Shiv Sena leaders, and on every day, Uddhav Thackeray himself would come out and say that Bala Sahib Thackeray is recovering, things are better. Every person who went inside Matoshri to meet Uddhav Thackeray or you know, Bala Sahib Thackeray's grandson Aditya Thackeray, they would come out and say the recovery is slow, but recovery is there. Dr. Jalil Parkar did not speak to media even once. You know, he just said, keep me out of it. But every time we were told that, no, perhaps there's a slight improvement, you must not lose hope. There were prayers that were going on here. You know, there was the Mahamrityunjay Jap and there was the namaz that was happening simultaneously. But today around 2:30, suddenly we saw more barricades being put in place, more RAF personnel coming in, senior police officers coming in, clearing the media from the road outside the Matoshri. That's the Ramakrishna Paramhans Marg. Media was cleared from that road. And at 3:30, the word had come in that there is some bad news that is expected. And at 4:30, Dr. Parkar came out and made the announcement that Balasaheb Thackeray had passed away. What we're also hearing is the latest, if I may tell you, about the yatra. The Antim Yatra will start at 7 o'clock in the morning from Matoshri. At 10 a.m., the Antim Yatra will reach Shivaji Park. Till 5 p.m. Antim Darshan can happen, and after 5 p.m. the Antim Sanskar would take place. Let me once again, if you have a minute, bring in Kamlesh Sutar for this. Kamlesh, this is what Shiv Sena is saying, 6 p.m. is the Antim Sanskar. What arrangements in place?
Well, Bala Sahib's Antim Yatra will begin from Matoshri, and from Matoshri, Banda, it will move towards Shivaji Park. The Antim Darshan would be taking place at Shivaji from 10 a.m. to 5 a.m. The mortal 5 p.m. The mortal remains will be kept at Shivaji Park for Antim Darshan, and at 6 p.m. Bala Sahib Thackeray will be cremated at Dadar.
Balasaheb Thackeray's politics was riddled with contradictions. While it's not just true of Balasaheb Thackeray, this is true of many politicians, but some of these contradictions were also born out of his politics of identity and Maratha chauvinism.
For Balasaheb Thackeray and the Shiv Sena, the politics of identity was taken to an extreme. After the 6th of December 1992, when the Babri Masjid was demolished, the leaders of the Bharatiya Janata Party, including Atal Bihari Vajpayee, including Lal Krishan Advani, they said this is the saddest day of our life. They were deeply apologetic. But Balasaheb Thackeray was defiant. He was proud of the fact that the Shiv Seniks had participated in the demolition of the Babri Masjid. When there were riots, when there were communal riots in Mumbai, again, the Shiv Sena was not apologetic in the least. In those riots that took place in December, January and February, December of 2002 and January and February of 2003, close to at least 1,000 Muslims were systematically targeted and killed. But when the B.N. Sri Krishna Commission was set up to probe the riots, the Shiv Sena tried its level best to stall the proceedings of that inquiry committee, and because it was in power, it refused to implement the recommendations of the Sri Krishna Committee, which called for stern action to be taken against some of the functionaries of the Shiv Sena. I mean, Balasaheb Thackeray, I repeat, was a man riddled with contradictions. When he was disenfranchised for making inflammatory speeches, for promoting hatred, communal hatred, for a 5-year period, in court, the position he and his lawyers would adopt would be quite conciliatory. But outside, in public, he was at his belligerent best.
Gaurav, we were talking a little while back about the plans for tomorrow, what the Shiv Sena was preparing and planning to do to allow the people of Mumbai, Seniks, to come and pay their last respects to Mr. Bal Thackeray. Could you elaborate on some of those plans so that our viewers are better informed?
7 a.m. tomorrow, Balasaheb Thackeray's mortal remains will be taken from here, Matoshri, to Shiv Sthal at Shivaji Park. Now, the distance is barely 6 kilometers, but it's expected to take anything between 2 to 3 hours for Balasaheb Thackeray's mortal remains to reach Shiv Sthal at Shivaji Park. 10 o'clock is the time that we are being told that at Shiv Sthal, at Shivaji Park, there's a special stage, a special platform that's being erected for Shiv Seniks and Mumbaikars and people, we are told, from across the state who would be coming to pay their last respects to Balasaheb Thackeray. We are also told that the Gujarat Chief Minister Narendra Modi is flying down to Maharashtra. There are several senior BJP leaders who are coming in from Delhi, several other leaders also expected. This will go on till about 5 p.m. What we're told then is at 6 p.m. would be the Antim Sanskar, the last rites that would be conducted by Uddhav Thackeray. His son Javed Ansari, our political editor, is with us, and Javed's been keeping a track on who all have been coming to Matoshri and the condolence messages that have been pouring in. And Javed, Prime Minister has condoled Balasaheb Thackerays death.
Indeed, the Prime Minister has condoled it, as has the President. The Prime Minister, I am told, spoke to Uddhav Thackeray, as has the Maharashtra Chief Minister, Mr. Prithviraj Chauhan. In fact, the Prime Minister then tweeted as well, saying that Bala Sahib inculcated a sense of pride amongst Maharashtrians. Twitter is full of people. Mr. L. Advani's reacted. He says a giant is no more, a giant has departed. Then there was Sushma Swaraj saying that the lion is dead, he is no more. Subramaniam Swamy called him a great friend, saying that he was both blunt and humorous. Bollywood has reacted en masse. Lots of people from Bollywood have reacted, and we are told that from the VIP entrance, there's a steady stream of visitors that's coming in. They, of course, have been shepherded, kept in a separate, hold. But there are lots of VVIPs, and tomorrow, that's when a lot of people, a lot of the bigwigs will come. A lot of national leaders, not just of the BJP, but other parties as well. Mr. Sharad Pawar left for Delhi this evening, but I'm told that either late tonight or early tomorrow morning he will be back. The NCP will be out in strength, as will the Congress also will be represented at an appropriate level. Of course, the Maharashtra Chief Minister, Mr. Prithviraj Chauhan, will be there, but I am given to understand perhaps a General Secretary or somebody senior from Indian National Congress will also be here.
Okay, more information that is coming in. Uddhav Thackeray, he would be coming out and he would be speaking to Shiv Senics in a while from now. Rahul, what we're also told was Uddhav himself was under the weather. He's been under tremendous strain in the past couple of weeks. Not only Bala Sahib Thackre's ill health, but his own health was a matter of concern, with hundreds of visitors coming every day. He personally met most of the visitors, whether high profile or otherwise. He met a number of Shiv Senics, tried to reassure them he's under the weather, but once again he's coming out. He would be speaking to Shiv Senics and would be appealing to them to maintain calm, to remain peaceful, because now the question is of Bala Sahib Thackre's legacy, and they do not want under any circumstances at this stage Bala Sahib Thackre's name to be tarnished.
Yes, indeed, of course, and that is a fear that lives on, because in the past we have seen over the last 3 or 4 days an incident or two of restiveness from among the Sena supporters, which also took on a sort of violent cue. But let me quickly come back to you, Gaurav, because we want to get a little more sense of the last moments of Bala Sahib Thackeray. Who was there by his bedside? Who were the doctors on attendance? What were the attempts that were made perhaps to administer to him the quality care that a man of his stature was, of course, deserving, at least at that point, to get a better sense of what really transpired in the lead up to the tragic end?
You know, Matoshri, the second floor of Matoshri was converted into a virtual ICU for the past several weeks. Bala Sahib Thackray was kept in isolation there. Nobody was allowed to meet him, apart from a battery of doctors led by Dr. Jalil Parkar of the Leelavati Hospital, ably assisted by a team of 3 other doctors and also a team of 4 male nurses who've been looking after Bala Sahib Thackeray for quite some time now. You know, what we're also told, around 2:30, Bala Sahib Thackeray started sinking. He suffered a cardiac arrest. Efforts were made to revive him. Now, earlier in the morning, when Dr. Jalil Parkar and his team of doctors were leaving this place, I tried to ask them if all was well. They did not speak to me, but just a little while after that, Manohar Joshi passed this area, and when I asked him, is Bala Sahib better? He said, it doesn't appear so. We are hoping he would be better. We are all praying that he would be better. But sadly, Rahul, that was not to be, because around 3:30 he suffered another cardiac arrest. A lot of efforts were made to revive him, but those efforts failed, and around 3:30 he breathed his last.
Bala Sahib Thackeray, politics began to turn ideologically to the right in the 60s, the late 60s, and also the 70s. It was in fact in the 70s that it really peaked, in a manner in which he also came out and was one of the very few political leaders who supported the emergency, praising Indira Gandhi for being a benevolent dictator. It was at that time, in the evolution of the Sena, that Bala Sahib Thackeray really occupied the space on the far right of the political spectrum. Parunjoy Thakurta joins us. Mr. Thakurta, explain to us the choices that were made by Bala Sahib Thackeray that positioned him so far right of the political discourse in Maharashtra at that particular time, which to some extent was very socialist, verging on the communist, up till the late 60s at least, and of course petering off into the 70s. What really was the turning point that led him really to extol the virtues of Indira Gandhi?
Balasaheb Thackeray always liked dictators. It was not just Indira Gandhi during the emergency who he admired. He was perhaps the only person in the world who was such an unabashed admirer of the German dictator Adolf Hitler. So in more ways than one, there was a streak of fascism in Balasaheb Thackeray.
Paranjoy Thakurta explaining to us some of the expedient moves made by Bala Sahib Thackeray that positioned him to the right of the political spectrum. The big question, of course, will be one of legacy. Uddhav Thackeray is going to be coming out. He's the legatee, the most obvious legatee of Bala Sahib Thackeray as the working president of the Shiv Sena. Can he actually take this legacy forward? Can he consolidate the legacy? And will Bal Thackeray's politics survive his demise? Key questions arise. Paranjoy Thakurta, why don't you answer some of these, as our viewers will be keen to understand really from here on is the Sena going to evolve?
I hope the brand of politics that Balasaheb Thackeray spawned does not survive, because it is an extremely narrow-minded, parochial, deeply divisive, ultra-right, ultra-nationalist kind of politics. And in my opinion, this brand of politics goes against the very idea of India, against the idea of a secular, democratic nation state which India is.
Well, fundamental points being made, depending on how, of course, one would view and what standpoint ideologically one were to occupy to observe Balasaheb Thackeray's politics. Much before Seva due importance and clout in Mumbai and Maharashtra politics, its seeds were, of course, sown by a frail yet fiery cartoonist in the shape of Balasaheb Thackeray. We're going to try and bring to you some of the images he sketched over his political lifetime to give you or better acquaint you with his political thoughts and ideas that were so well sketched out, etched out really on paper for all to connect with. That was the key. His brand of rather vicious humor and fondness for mimicry, Bal Thackeray forged a unique bond through the paintbrush, through the sketch pen. Those are some of those pictures, those are some of those cartoons dipped in vitriol. He forged a bond with his followers, speaking to people in a language that they could easily understand. He had, of course, a take, an idea on every political development. He used the Marmik, which was a daily that he launched, a publication that he launched to cement some of his ideas, to propagate his ideas, which became the edifice really of the Shiv Sena's politics. The Marmik as such was the precursor really to the Shiv Sena. While many long-serving Sainiks will state that Thackeray along with his brother Shrikant launched the Marmik without any political intentions, this is not really true, because it was meant to be a political vehicle for his ideas.